What is going on, everyone? Today we saw a giant increase in volatility with individual stocks like AMD, Google, and others. Some of these stocks like AMD popped to the upside by 10%, and the options popped up by like over 5,000% just today. In this video, we're going to explain why this craziness is happening, what stocks are actually benefiting from this recent news, and some other crazy things to know about. We have one more day left this week. Let's make it count. And with that being said, Tom, let's get right into today's episode.
Yeah, Mike, that overall market today was pretty good. You know, it was a nice green day, and we recovered up right back to the highs of yesterday again. And now the market's actually forming a bit of a double top here, right around this 458.80-ish area. You could even say 458.90. But this double top is going to be pretty important to watch tomorrow. If the market can break that, then we might continue up with that nice bullish momentum. And Mike, I know you mentioned AMD. That stock really stole the show, up 9.8%. That is a huge move for such a big company like them. And I don't even, I'll say this, Mike, the news that they have is just fantastic. They're going to come out with some chips that will rival Nvidia's, but looking at the price action a bit more, I mean, that was just insane. A 9.89% move. I was actually setting an alert down at the bottom yesterday, hoping that we would break support and fall lower. And what does this thing do? It runs up 10%. That was quite the run by AMD.
It's one thing when you have like a smaller cap stock up by 10% in a day, but it's a whole nother thing when you have like a company as big as AMD run up by 10% in just one day. That tells you right there that there's just like an enormous amount of buyers flooding into this company. Now let's talk a little bit more about this news. Basically, as we can see on the screen right now, AMD is launching some AI chips to rival Nvidia. As we all know, Nvidia has exploded over the past year as, not only the AI market has grown, but they've really just been crushing the semiconductor industry. Now AMD is like, you know what, we want in on some of this action, and AMD investors sure loved it. But the main thing to know is AMD's trying to put up a better fight against Nvidia, which is great for AMD if they can successfully take over some of that market share.
I know, right? And that market share, NVIDIA's really owned it as far as like you would say the more advanced AI chips over the past, 5 years or so. They've been really dominating that game. And with AMD coming out with this MI300X, that is quite the name there. It's going to rival NVIDIA's H200 processor, so that'll be huge to see there. I don't know how much of the market share that they will steal, but I'll say this, Mike, AMD is very, very powerful, and whenever I read through this, I actually saw that Microsoft and Meta had already committed to using some of these MI300X chips for, some of their AI-oriented servers. So it sounds like even Microsoft and Meta are hopping on the hype train.
There we go. So looking at AMD for tomorrow, here's the thing. Like, it has a lot of momentum right now, and that's great. And a lot of times when AMD has momentum, it does normally continue for multiple days at a time. But at the same time, guys, this stock is up 10% in a day already. That's a really big move. So going into tomorrow, I feel like the best way to play this one is just like very short-term like scalps. For example, if we see AMD blasting to the upside tomorrow, then it doesn't hurt to play it quickly to the upside. But, at the same time, we have to be realistic. Like, the stock's already up 10%. So it's like a lot of times, stocks, especially of this magnitude, can only run up so much so quickly. So just be aware of that.
Yeah, like a lot of people will think like, whoa, it's up 9% today. Tomorrow it'll be up 10%, right? And that's not really the case. We see a lot of times where these stocks pull back, and I actually went back to AMD's earnings from about a month ago, Mike, and they actually had a huge run on their earnings, but the thing was the very next day, they actually ended up consolidating back down a little bit, and then a couple of days later, they continued with that nice momentum. Like you said, this move is just, unprecedented for a stock like them, and it was kind of a surprise with this chip news that came out. So keep it on the radar, because if it does keep breaking, it can be great. But at the same time, like you said, Mike, whenever you're up 10%, you're going to usually see some type of pullback come in, or at least like a very short-term one. Like, and, we're not saying that AMD can't go up tomorrow, but, it's probably going to be a little bit volatile, and it might not just be like the explosion like today.
No doubt. And on another note, if we switch over to the heat map for today, we can see pretty clearly that AMD was one of many stocks that had a decent day. Another stock that did pretty well was Google, as it popped by over 5%. And this one also had some pretty decent news as they announced their brand new AI model, Gemini. And basically, this software will compete with like ChatGPT and, other competitors like that. But as we also know, in the same way that AI chips have been booming, so has the AI like software side of things as well. And of course, when you announce a brand new model, just like Google did, brings in a lot more hype. And Tom, even Google options today did fantastic, as some of these weekly options popped up by like 3,000% just today.
I could not believe that I saw Google at the top of my watch list today. I saw AMD up there, and that blew me away. And then I saw Google up like 5%, and I was like, holy crap, how is the market not up more, right? That SPY did great today, but wow, with the way some of these tech stocks were moving, that was quite the thing to see. But I'm glad that they announced this, Mike. It's good to see them advancing that AI game again. And, Google hasn't had like a ton of huge news lately, right? Like, we keep hearing things about like Nvidia and AMD and Meta and Disney and, all these big companies having some crazy news. It's good to hear that they're, getting into that AI game a little bit more. And, it's just going to keep them on the map, I think. But I did see that in the article, they were talking a lot about how they don't really know how they're going to be monetizing this yet. But, I can't wait to see what they do, because Google's such a big company. Who knows? Maybe we'll have AI on YouTube that'll get rid of the damn bots finally.
Yeah, seriously, that's so true. You'd think if they can make a super complex model like this, they can stop some of the spamming bots. But either way, Google has some pretty good hype with this news. Keep a close eye on it for tomorrow. But honestly, it's kind of the same situation as AMD. Google's average rise day average green day, I'll say, is like 1.22%. And today it was like 5.3%. So it's much higher than average. So just keep that in mind. But Tom, some other crazy news that like just came out this week is a new ETF that is definitely getting a lot of attention, and kind of in a good way, but also not really in a good way. So basically, there's a new sheriff in town, as ticker symbol XXXX, so that's 4 X's, just began trading, and essentially it is a 4X leveraged ETN on the S&P 500. So theoretically, let's say the S&P 500 is up 2% in the day, XXXX should be up like 8%. So it just takes the, return and multiplies it by 4. So obviously, when the market's booming, this, what I'll call quote unquote stock, can do great. But at the same time, when the market falls, it can get really bloody really quickly.
Mike, whenever we're going to be in a nice uptrend, this is going to be a very, very fun stock to scalp. But I'll tell you, if you keep holding this thing through a downtrend, you are going to see some major, major fluctuations. So whenever I look at this, Mike, it's kind of awkward to say the name, right? It's 4 X's. I don't know whether to call it like Quad X, 4X, XXXX, it seems like too many letters. But either way, it's going to be a very fun stock, and I'm really hoping that this is going to be like you said, like the new sheriff in town. Because right now, people look at like SPXL. You look at SQQQ, for like inversing the QQQ. We have VXX. Like, there's a lot of things out there that have a little bit of leverage to them. But man, a 4X leverage ETF, that sounds like an extremely fun time.
Yeah, so we will see. One thing I want to say is this is something you do not want to hold for long periods of time because of the volatility decay. Basically, it's leverage, and while that's super fun in the short term, and while you can get some great returns in the short term, over the long term, this is not something you want to be holding. But either way, add it to your watch list because when the market's going crazy, it'll sure get a lot of attention. But Tom, looking at the market right now, it popped up a little bit today, as we said just a couple minutes ago. What do you have in terms of important levels for tomorrow and just key things to keep in mind?
Yeah, so the S&P 500 actually had a pretty good move today, and it ran back up towards recent highs. Now, if we look at the high from yesterday morning, it actually almost double topped perfectly right at this level. I'll draw a little price line just under my resistance I had around 459 up there, and you can see how that double top is so crucial. So if we're able to break above that level, like 458.90, I think that we could see a pretty good pop out of the market. Now, there is slight resistance still right here at like 459 and 459.50, but I think that once we really break this upper area, like 459 to 460, we're going to see that SPY start to move up, and it'll make new highs of the year. That 460 area is actually where we're sitting for that high of the year, and we'll be actually running back up towards highs from the end of 2021. So it's a pretty exciting time, Mike, because we're right at this resistance, and if it breaks, we can see some great moves. But at the same time, if this resistance holds up, we've been in a chop zone lately, and to be honest, there's a ton of different levels between 453.50 and like 458 where we are now. You can see it just chopped in there for the past 2 weeks. It looks like a heartbeat monitor almost.
Exactly. So, yeah, good stuff there. And then another thing to keep in mind for tomorrow is that we also have some decent economic data set to release before the market opens. So basically, 1 hour before market open, we will have the non-farm payrolls data release, but also the unemployment rate, which is set to come in around 3.9%, which was the same data point as last time. So if it comes in drastically different, that can definitely move the market. And then 30 minutes after the market opens, we also have Michigan consumer sentiment data as well. But I would say all in all, the unemployment data and the non-farm payrolls data 1 hour before market open have the most potential to get things moving.
They really do, because the Federal Reserve will be watching those numbers very closely. Obviously, that'll impact maybe how they're thinking about rates, or it just might impact, their decisions or thinking a little bit going forward. And, we always know this, Mike. The market has some pretty drastic reactions sometimes to some of these numbers. So hopefully it comes in right around expected, though, and then we could just maybe ride this momentum today with no problem.
All right, sounds good. Well, with that being said, let's get right into the fun stuff for today, which are some setups and predictions going forward. A stock I'm watching very closely right now is Rivian, and it's to the upside. So here's the thing with this stock. We have to look at it on a daily chart, and what we'll see is just like in, you could say, the beginning of July of this year, this stock was moving with some power. It had some giant candles in the beginning of July of 2023, and it, ran for like a couple weeks, and what we're starting to see right now is, some very early signs of a breakout, right? I wouldn't say we've actually seen a breakout just yet, but we're starting to get that type of price action. So I'm going to be watching this one very closely to see if we see increased volume, a break of recent highs, and just some good pure momentum. If we see that, I think it has a good potential to the upside. But again, we need to see that big volume, that big momentum, and that overwhelming bullish price action to actually flow into this stock to, make it worth it. But either way, I have some close eyes on it.
Yeah, we were actually looking at it a little while ago, and it finally broke that 1820 resistance, and it's running up again. I love it, Mike. I think the setup looks fantastic, and it's one of the more bullish stocks at the moment. Hopefully this rotation helps them out over the next couple months, because Rivian has been, as we all know, quite low lately. But looking at Coinbase here, this is actually a stock that's had a lot of momentum lately, and today it started to kind of continue that. It had a nice green candle after dipping down for a couple days. So I will be watching this one for a continuation back up. It's Coinbase. It follows Bitcoin in a way, and I think if it breaks above that high of day here right around 138, then we could see some more great momentum. But we all know Coinbase is pretty wild. Look at the average moves down here. The average percent rise over the past year is 3.8%, and the average percent fall is 2.6%. So this one's quite the mover, to say the least.
No doubt about that. All right, Tom, I'm going to switch things up a little bit on us. And with the next play, I'm looking at SQQQ. So basically, for those of you who don't know, this rises when the NASDAQ falls. And, basically when you see big tech stocks fall, this goes up. Now, this is also a leveraged ETF. And the thing is with this one is this is only a potential play if we see a shift in sentiment. Tom, let's switch over to QQQ just for 1 second. Today, it was mostly bullish, and for obvious reasons, as we saw AMD and Google, just break through resistance on a massive scale. So going into tomorrow, if we see a shift in sentiment and we see, the big tech stocks either stuck in the mud or, breaking lows, that is where there will be opportunity to the upside with SQQQ. If we see big tech stocks blasting again and going for breakouts, then SQQQ will not be worth trading. But, given the whole situation in the market right now, I can't not at least bring up SQQQ. So it's on my radar.
Yeah, I feel you there, Mike. There's just so many overpriced stocks right now, and I feel like the support's just ready to give out. But at the same time, it's the Federal Reserve keeps talking about going towards rate cuts now, and it's making the market happy. So I'm really curious to see how this ends up playing out heading into the holidays, right, with the Santa Claus rally. But with my next play, I'm going with LUV, which is an airline, and I don't know if this is flying up. Man, Mike, this stock has been amazing, right? We're heading into the holidays. Maybe they're expecting more travel or something, but the airlines seem like they're doing a lot better lately. And if we go out to a weekly chart, this has been bouncing off a support since 2001, right? Now, at the same time, the stock's up a lot in the short term, but it has a lot of momentum. So if it breaks 29.50 right around that high of day tomorrow, look for a nice push up towards 30 and then maybe a break of 30. So I'll keep my eyes on LUV, Mike. These airlines had quite the recovery here.
All right, sounds good. Well, good stuff there, and let's get right into the momentum plays for tomorrow. And with the first one, we have Zoom to the upside.
ZM, I love this stock in the short term. If they break $72 tomorrow, go ahead and look at calls. If they break that in pre-market, then look at $72.25.
Beautiful. With the next one, we have Netflix, but to the downside.
NFLX. Yeah, this stock was kind of stuck in the mud today, considering how many other tech stocks ran. If they break under 448, then look at some puts.
All right, and then with the last one, we have BABA for both directions.
Yeah, BABA was nuts today. It was all over the place this morning, but it closed up pretty high. So if they end up breaking 72.40, then look at some calls up. Now, at the same time, if they end up falling down under 71.80, then eye up puts.
All right, so we have that downside level for puts, and then we have the upside level for calls, and this is for BABA. Don't forget about the downside level for puts with Netflix, and then last but not least, don't forget about the upside potential level for calls with Zoom, and these are the momentum plays for tomorrow. Again, they're only plays if they break the levels Tom listed, but Tom, it is now about that time for today's $4.1 million big money trade of the day, and we are looking at ticker symbol MRVL. So this is another semiconductor related stock, and basically the big money put $4.1 million into the MRVL $52.50 strike call options that expire on March 15th of 2024. These call options are basically right at the money. They have about 100 days worth of time to them. The stock has been on a pretty decent run over the past year, and chip stocks have been doing, pretty good over the past year. The stock has also made some very short-term higher lows as well. But either way, this is a pretty big money trade here. $4.1 million. I like how the call options are right at the money and how they have time, but either way, I think the setup has potential, but I would like to see this stock stay above the $47.50 level.
I would too, because I really like this $50 support that the stock stayed above now, and it's actually starting to come up off of a pretty big recent dip where it ran down just under that 47 area. And get this, that move down was actually almost a near perfect gap fill there. So with MRVL, I like this play. I like the setup. I like the big money putting 4 million in. I like the strike being at the money, like you mentioned. That's a very important thing too. And I like the time frame. It goes out to March, which isn't necessarily too far, but at the same time, we could, maybe see a nice 2-month gain out of this and have some very nice, well-priced options here. So I like it, Mike. MRVL's in that tech sector that seems to just never, never fall, right? It seems like over the past year, but as it recovers up, it'll be a really fun play to watch for sure.
All right, good stuff there. So keep a close eye on this one going forward. And on another note, Tom, we just saw a lot of the bots just crush it today with AMD, Google, and a couple other big tech stocks run. For example, SM Bot called out AMD call options 2,141 times today. I think this is like the all-time record. On top of that, we had SurgeBot screaming AMD to the upside as well. And, for example, SurgeBot's AMD call options popped by over 1,000% today. And then SM Bot's AMD call options popped by close to like 257% today. There was also a bunch of great action with meta calls as well that popped by 313% on the day. But long story short, the market is heating up. If you want in on the action, check out that first link in the description in the comments down below. We have an army of bots that scan the market every single second, that look at like hundreds of thousands of different data points. On top of that, if you join the StockedUp trading floor, you will also get access to our live events that happen every single Wednesday. You could chat with Tom and myself all day long. You also get access to our big money trades every single day before the market closes, though, among many other things. But the market's heating up. If you want in on the action, check out that first link in the description in the comments down below. And the bots definitely hit it out of the park today with this AMD run-up.
They really did, Mike. That move was insane. 9.89%. SurgeBot killed it. So get in on the action, guys. SurgeBot is fantastic. Even if it seems like the market is not moving and you're like, oh boy, SPY's going flat again. There's no opportunities. I tell you, it's finding opportunities out there all throughout the day. So check it out, guys. It's awesome, and it really killed it on some of these stocks today. I saw it even called Nvidia out too quite a bit, which was pretty good. I know it's no AMD, but still even nice runners today.
You know it. All right, well, tomorrow, it's the last day of the week, as we all know. We're starting to see an increase in volatility, which, as a short-term trader, is all you can ask for. So thank you guys so much for watching, and let's crush it tomorrow.